Hello YouTube, this is Ohio Keller here, and we're back with another look at one of the trips I did this year. And this time it was to Grant Nature Center, Ohio, and I found some pretty cool insects there, including a first for the park, and I got to update a record. So we'll go take a look at that. So first here's the layout of the park. I normally park at Normandy, walk up either through the woods or past all the camp buildings, and then up into the little woods here. I either go hit the stream a little bit, check what's around there. I did not during this trip. But then otherwise I walk up, over, there's a little meadow here. Didn't decide to walk around that, it was rather hot that day. And then you hit this little section where we start seeing some insects. Keep going up. I looped around the pond once. I either go down and over, or I looped around it, went up. I'm trying to remember what I did, but I went up, over, hit this section, which is great for insects. Went over, went back this way, looped all the way around the park, came back to here, and then just went back and left. So pretty simple, but normally, once I hit leaving this area, I go up, over, into the Badlands here, because that is really cool, unique habitat. And then I loop over, around, following the creek, and then back and out. But I did not do that this time because of the heat. But we're going to start off with the butterflies and moths. There were tons of eastern-tailed blues around. These are the 4 I was able to photograph. Each of these is a different butterfly. You can see this one is really fresh, just emerged probably that day. And then they were flying around looking to lay eggs or looking to get nectar. A lot of them were nectaring. So yeah, these are very common spring, summer, fall species. So expect to see them if you're out wandering in the area. Now we have a Zabloon skipper. Now this guy was feeding on ironweed. They're also very common right now and always love seeing them. They used to be kind of rare and I always, had difficulty identifying them, but now I don't. And this is a male. The females are really dull brown. And that's feeding on ironweed. Now this year, Swathi skippers have been very, very common. And I ran into 2 out there. One was sitting on a poison ivy leaf, and then this one was sitting on ironweed. As you're going to see, native plants are always being used here. There's a few invasives around, but those were, from my observations that day, not being touched. And here is the first insect that I talked about. Well, second, I think, of the new one. And that is a little yellow. I saw a little sulfur just fluttering around and looking to lay eggs, I believe, on the partridge pea, which is its host plant. Because there was another sulfur. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I think a dainty sulfur that was being seen at a park near this one. So I went out looking to see if it was on this one because that would be a first record for Grant. But I didn't find it, but I found a little yellow. And it was not seen since 2018, so I am happy about that it's still around here. Got a really bad photo of it. So if you're out in nature and end up getting a bad photo of an insect, still use it, still put it on iNaturalist. It could still be very important. Because as long as you can identify it, you see the little dots around the hind wing there. And then you can see that there's some dashes and dots up there. Along with just the small size and the time of year, it's most likely a little yellow. Pathan milkweed, when I first entered the park, I was looking on the milkweed plants for monarchs. Didn't see any during this trip at all. I found another milkweed specific Lepidoptera, and that is the milkweed tussock moths. And there was a small group of them munching away. Looks like some of them are going to get ready to pupate soon. But yeah, wish there were more of those around because there's so much milkweed to eat. Because the monarchs aren't around, I expected these guys to do well, and it's just been a really bad year. But I did see one monarch recently at another park, so they're still around, but not very common at all. Now we're on to the true bugs, and speaking of another insect that uses milkweed, is a large milkweed beetle. These guys have been everywhere. I saw one in my backyard yesterday. Not in great numbers, but they're still around. Their relative, the small milkweed bug, has just been not seen at all this year. I have not seen it. Insects have boom and bust years, so it's like, alright, these guys have an okay population. The small ones just barely have a population probably at all. I haven't seen many on iNaturalist even. I've seen some false milkweed bugs, but really not the small ones. Now I got a really bad photo of a clouded plant bug on some wing stem. But hey, these guys are around. They're kind of everywhere. Now I got a really nice shot of a male common swamp cicada singing. Cicadas are one of my favorite groups. You could even see a little bit of his proboscis there feeding on willow. On one of the plants growing around the water on that big middle pond in the meadow was a plant hopper. Now there's a lot of species of plant hoppers and easy to get confused, but this guy has a very waxy surface to him, and when you look at photos of the plant hoppers, he's kind of easy to distinguish due to shape, color, waxiness. Now we're on to the group that always pops up in all my videos, dragonflies and damselflies. Another blue-fronted dancer, a really good shot of a female. On my camera settings, I was using f11 for all this, and it turned out really great. And here we have an eastern forktail. Some people might confuse this for a orange bluet, but they're a little bit different. The body shape is a lot thicker. The orange is not bright enough, doesn't extend down the abdomen far enough. Yeah, most likely just freshly molted in the morning and flew around and is still drying out, still sclerotizing and getting its colors. And here's a good shot of an eastern pond hawk. As you know from my first video on the bugs of what is it called, a spring lakes, I got a really bad shot of them. Now here's a good shot. So you can see that really nice dusty blue color to them. You see they have a little bit of patterning on the head. Nice clear wings. And now here's one that I tried to get at spring lakes, but just could not. And that is window skimmers. There's a leaf in front of this guy making it all blurry, but A, it's still an identification shot, so use it. And then that one was far out, but still a shot. This was at the first pond, and then this was at that second pond right around the woodland area. Those two have kind of different habitats, so it's always worth checking both. And there was rusty clubtail seen there yesterday, so it's like, ooh, that's a new one for me, so I might need to go down there and take a look again. And of course, blue dashers, they're everywhere. This is a female. You could tell by the green on her abdomen. Not a very good shot. I don't edit all of my photos if I'm using them just for IDs. Now we're into the flies. Now this is the first time you'll see them in the park. Always check the man-made structures. This was on one of the signs about cleaning up after your dog. And this is one of the robber flies. Only has a scientific name. And it was just sitting up there looking for food. So if you see something weird, take a look and take an image of it. It could be a first for the park. So yeah, I got a really good front shot of it because it just sat there and let me take photos of it. And I believe this one is a male. Really cool humped look to it. If you saw a robber fly with a humped look, kind of sitting far away, especially with this sort of angle, you're gonna know, you might not remember the name, but you will know it's that guy. Because there's sometimes where I just know a shape and it's like, oh, I know what species that is. I've seen it before, but I just can't remember the name in that point. Also, look at all the hair on its legs and how it looks almost striped. A little bit of fuzz on its tarsus. Just a really cool insect. Always love seeing any robber flies. Now we're on to these guys. Some people's favorites, some people don't like them. But we have a common eastern bumblebee here. Kind of an older individual. You can see some damage on the wing. Feeding on a prairie rosenwind. Or rosenwind, or don't know exactly which one, but that is a very nice plant. I could do the plants of the park as well if you guys want, because I have a bunch of photos of those. But always good to see. There are tons of honeybees around trying to crowd out our natives. But I was able to shoot off the honeybee because we have enough honeybees. Now on to the last thing, Coleop. Actually, not last thing. And there's this guy eating one of the native what are they called? Not remembering the name of it, but name of the plant, but hey, it was on there, munching away. You could see it. Again, a really bad photo. This thing was small and it was in a dark kind of wooded area. But hey, it's still a record. It's still in this genus. Most likely a different species than what you normally see, because we normally get the black ones. Daisies, that's what they are. And now for the last one on my way out. Also sitting on wing stem is a nice Carolina mantis, almost an adult, getting close. Yeah, waiting to ambush any of the many small bees that were on there. Couldn't get any good photos of the small bees because they're just small in wooded area. But yeah, if you want to find any native species, look on native plants. It's pretty pretty nice. And then if you have a bunch of invasives, just try to find a good park near you. Or even plant your own in your yard, which is the best thing to do. So that is all. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will be back when I'm back from another trip.